My guest is David St-Onge, curator of Canada's Penitentiary Museum. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
I love your museum. I've been there a number of times, and it's just such an insight into a world that most of us have never experienced.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it can be a challenging history to interpret, but we're quite proud of what we've done, and
And to get something clear right off, you have nothing to do with the penitentiary tours.
Not the tours, of course. The penitentiary itself, absolutely. We have we're keeper of the history, basically.
Right.
So we do work with the tours. We provide information and some display cases and graphics to help them augment the tour. But yeah.
But if you want tickets for we do not call you.
No.
Okay.
We can't help you with the tickets, unfortunately. So.
But as a separate visit, it is absolutely worth the visit. And I'm talking to Kingstonians here too, if you've never been there. You've brought along some artifacts.
Yeah.
So please, fill me in here.
I have to admit, it was a bit of a challenge coming up with interesting things to bring along. But the first thing, I don't know if the camera, I think we'll be sending that to your
they'll see
technician
it.
there.
Yeah.
This is a picture of the quarry at Garrican Park in 1911 at the end of Church Street near the Domino Theatre. And you'll notice a couple of the gentlemen there are wearing a striped uniform. And I happened to have brought one
All right.
to dispel a little myth that we never had black and white stripes in Canada. We had blue and brown. This is one that was actually transferred after we stopped using them. They had these from about 1906 or so to 1921. Then they went to a solid color, and I think the excess government fabric went to the province, because this came from just province of Ontario on the buttons. It did come from to us from the Goddard's Jail Museum, but originally from the Kingston area, so probably from the Frontenac County Jail.
Okay, wow.
But so quite rare, actually. I only know of one other one that's survived.
That is.
And you see a lot of wear.
Yes, yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
Probably
they would
more
recycle them.
But more than one person.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
oh my goodness, yeah. It was so no black and white.
No
That's
black and
interesting.
white. That's an American uniform. Actually,
American
some other
thing.
countries as well use that, but not us.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, and
then
there was a manufacturing operation at KP
for many years.
Yes, no idea.
So Kingston Pen opened in 1835. By the 1840s, they were looking at ways of generating a revenue to offset the costs and buy library books, for example, things like that. So they set up a contract system with outside manufacturers who would lease the space, the industrial space, and then a certain number of inmates at a daily rate to produce their goods for sale to the public through retail outlets, and such things as furniture, shoes and boots, and tools. I brought one of the tools with me today.
Yes, what is that?
This is a carpenter's molding plane.
Oh.
And I can see, if you look at the profile, the shape that it would.
Oh, like trim.
Yeah, like trim and that such thing. This one, I'm not sure exactly what you call that, maybe an OG or something. But on the end of these, now there are numerous manufacturers of these types of planes, but if you find any that say J.P. Milliner and Company, Kingston on the end, it would have been made by inmates working in the Milliner factory in KP between 1855 and 1860. That's when there were 5-year contracts, and apparently this one was a little difficult. Mr. Milliner didn't get along with the warden or didn't abide by the rules as he should have, apparently. So if we go through the warden's books of the day, so his contract wasn't renewed.
So then they went on to make other things.
Yeah, they brought in different manufacturers, and
And the sign that you've got there outlined like axes.
Yeah,
I guess I'm
kind
of thinking axes and inmates, but okay, that's
actually.
Maybe.
That's right. Yes, they made a wide range. His advertisements even made apparently a patented handcuff, which we haven't found yet. But broad chopping and hand axes. His shop was on Princess Street at the corner of Bagot, where the Kawartha Credit Union is now.
Oh, yes.
I think it's the northwest corner.
Yes.
And it says under the sign of the broad axe. So he had a large broad axe hanging over his front door.
Oh, my.
Recently, I happened to find one. So we've acquired one for our collection. A broad axe was used to square logs to make timbers. And so that was quite a find. I've been looking for 40 years for one and found one finally. So
Is that the one where they would swing it sideways?
yes.
You see it in
Yeah,
pictures.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me nervous even watching them and thinking how many limbs were lost.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Toes or
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of people weren't aware of this this industry. There was a bigger industry called the Canada Lock Company for many years in the 19th century that made locks and hardware for the public. Eventually, the pen was. I say we like I was there. Sometimes I feel that way. The Penitentiary was eventually barred from competing on the open market.
Okay.
So they had to manufacture things that weren't being made in public factories. So there was no one making hardware at the time. So they made locks. So you have offenders making locks sold to the public.
So to the public, there's some
they know their
irony
way.
in there too, isn't there?
Yeah.
And was there a foundry?
There was a foundry and
Really?
a couple of the wings of the industrial shops. The big contract they took at the end of their operation was the ironwork for the Parliamentary Library at Parliament Hill.
Really?
The company went bankrupt during that, and Warden Creighton, John Creighton, arranged with the Minister of Justice to retain the foreman, Levi Spencer, to complete that parliamentary project. And then Mr. Spencer went on for another 10 years or so making hardware, and then finally into the 1880s. 1883, I think they put an end to the contract system. But
Yeah. The building itself. Tell me about that.
the penitentiary itself, yeah,
Well, the
or the museum.
The museum
Museum,
building.
yeah,
It's
okay.
a fascinating. It's a beautiful. Even just to go in and look at the architecture is a treat.
Well, our building was constructed as the official warden's residence of Kingston Penitentiary. Prior to that, there was a double cottage on the grounds. It was actually the first building when the penitentiary was set up. It was intended initially for the architect and master builder to supervise the first building. Then it became the warden and deputy's residence. And by 1870-71, when John Creighton was appointed, it had fallen into some disrepair, worn out. And he was a single father with no interest in raising his children in the penitentiary apartment inside. So they revived the project to replace this old building, and they built what we call Cedar Hedge now, which is another long story how that came about. But it was quite, the building was quite bigger originally, quite a bit bigger, about 2,000 square feet bigger. There was a wing, a conservatory wing and a coach house and stable that extended to the east that was torn down in the late 1970s and early 80s. But yeah, it was good. So he was required to live on site 24/7, as was the deputy warden, who had an apartment inside, and the matron in charge of the women's side. She also had an apartment inside the prison. So.
And it's perfect location when you think about it, because it's right up on the hill and you
can oversee.
Right. It's a fabulous building. Was it convict labor, I'm assuming, to build it?
Under supervision of trade instructors. So we had a mason instructor and a carpentry instructor who had both been foremen on the Parliament Hill building, apparently. We've been researching them a bit. So they came down, and they would have a crew of inmates that they're teaching the trade to, but also saving the cost of labor by not hiring outside contractors.
So when you're doing the tours of the museum, what shocks people the most? What piece of information really surprises them?
We get a lot of comments about our what we call our art gallery upstairs.
Upstairs, yeah.
A number of years ago, we've always had pieces of art in our collection, but done by people serving time. But back in 2011, I think it was, I put a call out to our regional offices across the country at corrections, looking for representative art from the different regions, and we were amazed at the quality of the paintings and the carvings and whatnot that was were sent to us. Some were on loan, some were donated to us.
And the writing.
And I asked
writing was
if the artists could kind of write something about what art meant to them. And there was quite a lot of very, very touching information in there. It's art in prison is for some a form of escape, if you know what I mean. While you're in a painting, you're not in
what's going on around you.
In the
Same with writing. I could see that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and they do that as well. Poetry and
Wow. It's fascinating, and I absolutely, and it's free. It's a donation.
By
It's donation
donation,
based, so you can take your family, and it's not going to break the bank. And it's a fascinating place. And thank you so much for coming in to tell me about it. And if somebody wants more information, there's a website and a phone number that we got on the screen.
We've got it on the screen there. And we're open May 1st to October 31st. Daily 9 to 4, last admission at 3:30 to the building. And we're on the corner of Sir John A. Macdonald Boulevard and King Street West.
That's right, and you have to, the parking lot, you have to go up Sir John A.
It's a little bit of a puzzle. Because we're on the southbound lane of Sir John A. Macdonald, and it's a divided boulevard. You have to approach from the north, so not directly from King Street. You have to go around the block to get.
Or you kind of do a burn a Yui, as we used to say.
You could do that. You can do that carefully. And our parking lot is just adjacent to the house.
So a little complicated to get there, but worth it once you do.
Well, hopefully.
Thanks again.
Okay, thank you, Donna.